And that's where a lot of those limiting beliefs come in too.
Yeah.
Because you probably have developed, I mean, we develop beliefs from the time we were little, and they come from outside influences. They come from our parents, they come from teachers or doctors in white coats saying that you have ADD or depression. Right. All of these things are limiting beliefs that add up in our lives, and then when we try to do something, they set us up for sabotage.
Right. The captain is saying, "Oh, but this false belief."
Yeah, like, okay, I'm going to love this great new guy, and then there's this captain or the crew saying, "No, you don't love all guys. All guys are assholes, or all guys don't treat you right, and let's just sabotage this relationship." So the point being is that your beliefs are the center of your thoughts. Your beliefs form your thoughts form your actions form your results. And so...
And your results go back to your...
And your results go back to your belief, exactly. Then it reconfirms everything that you think you know. So the biggest thing about changing as a person and improving, a lot of that comes from changing those beliefs that are limiting, changing those beliefs that are sabotaging. And first of all, being aware of that, because unfortunately most people go through their whole life not even realizing that they have limiting beliefs, and they're always sabotaging or always repeating the same negative patterns. So the biggest thing is the awareness of what those limiting beliefs are, bringing them up to the surface, and then reinstalling them, eliminating them and then replacing them with new, healthier beliefs that are going to set you up for success instead of failure.
And I've started on the acknowledging of them.
You have?
That was brought up in the If the Buddha Dated. That was the first time I'd ever encountered the idea of false beliefs.
Of limiting beliefs?
Yeah. In the book, that was when it talked about it, and I started thinking about it, because when I read these books, I don't just read them to look at other people, I apply it to myself. And I definitely know that the belief that I'm unlovable is a false belief.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure it's based on I decided that because I couldn't change my environment, or because I couldn't fix what was wrong in my home, and whatever, adding up all of the little things that I didn't like in my life as reasons of, I must not be lovable.
Yeah. You know it.
I do know it, and I try. There was like a month, I think, where I actually got up and every morning looked in the mirror and was like, I like you. I like you. I'm going to make myself believe it. Fake it till you
like
make
doing
it.
the affirmations.
Yes.
Fake it till you make it.
Yes, and I don't know why I didn't.
Why you didn't what? Believe it?
Continue. Because I felt like it was working, but maybe that was because it was challenging my false belief.
Yeah, exactly.
It decided to
it was working, and then that sabotaging part of you was like, oh, it's working, maybe I'll sabotage it, I'll shatter it, because you knew you're probably on the verge of a mindset shift.
I know that people resist a change in their reality, even if it's for the greatest good in the world. My therapist used the analogy of chairs. Like people would rather sit in an uncomfortable chair and not know what chair they're going to sit in.
Yes, yeah, that's great.
I think I'm aware of most of my false beliefs.
It's almost it's funny because you're almost like your own therapist. It sounds like you know the things that are consciously, but the application of them, the execution.
It falls by the wayside, and I assume that it's because I've made myself so social that if I don't have someone to bounce it off of, then I end up trying to avoid it or not dealing with it.
Yeah. Well, so the limiting beliefs are, we got to get them to the surface, because it sounds like you are kind of like your own therapist in a way, but it's like we got to execute them and shatter the ones that aren't working for you, and allow your mind to accept the change instead of resist it.
The replacing of new beliefs is usually where I fall short, and even with the circumstance where I told you, I just stopped doing it. I didn't let myself replace it with a new belief. So, I really need help with follow through.
Yeah, I think the follow through and the consistency is the biggest thing, because habits do take time to form. They take about 30 days to actually set in stone. And I mean 30 days of doing something consistently. So most people, what happens is they do something for a week or 2 or 3, and then they just kind of like, well, this isn't working that great, or I haven't formed this new habit yet, and then they just kind of throw in the towel. and say it just doesn't work. But the consistency and the follow through is the biggest thing. So if, you know, I say that we go and we work on these issues, we tackle them at the core, we replace your limiting beliefs with solid, healthy, successful beliefs. And if you are committed to playing at 100%, and if you're really committed to doing this, then we can make magic happen.
I want to make magic.
I really think so. I mean, I know so, because I see the potential in you. But you have to understand too that it's going to take a little bit of effort on your part. I'm probably going to give you some assignments to do and some take it home. I call it home play, not homework, but home play, because they're enjoyable, insightful exercises that you will enjoy doing, and it's a process of self-discovery and growth. And so I ask of you patience, a little bit of patience, and commitment. And if you give me those two things and an enthusiastic attitude, and enthusiastic attitude in the process, because sometimes you don't just get results the next day, but it does if you're consistent with it, then we can make amazing things happen. And also, one of the biggest things that's going to allow you to shift and make the change is the belief that change can happen, and that it can happen sooner than you believe it.
It's kind of a sooner than you
change
believe
can happen. Well, here's another thing is that most people, and this is why people stay in therapists for years and they ring up therapist bills and they're still in the same place 3 years later, is because they believe there's a belief that change has to be a struggle. In order to make permanent and lasting change, it has to be a struggle, it has to take time, it has to take years, it has to be like all this pain and struggle to make this permanent change, when actually we know now that you don't have to go through all that to make a permanent change. We can cure depression in one session if we really wanted to. I could put someone in who's been depressed for years, do one hypnotherapy session with them, and they can be cured. I've heard speech, like someone who's been feared, like absolutely fearful of public speaking for 35 years, done one session with them, and they're completely cured after that. I mean, smoking can take one session.
I actually have a friend who quit smoking after one
session. Yeah. You can make impactful, you can make permanent, profound changes as quickly as you want it to be, though. And that's the thing. The belief. It's all about the belief. Because sometimes people have the change, it's been made, but they walk out of the room thinking, no, it couldn't have been that easy. No, it couldn't have been that easy. And they almost like want to hold on to their problem because they can't fathom that change can be believed. Yeah, it's a familiar chair. And then they go right back to doing what they're doing because they feel like, no, it has to take struggle, it has to take years, there's no way it could have been that easy and quick to make that change. So that's why I say to you is the first thing is opening up your mind to the possibility that you can make an amazing, profound, permanent change, and you can make it a lot quicker than you might think.
Okay, so then is that where we would start then? Is with a hypnotherapy session to get over depression so I can face I mean, I'm wholeheartedly into this.
Okay, cool.
I'm so tired of crying at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
And not knowing who I am and what I want. Like I'm serious.
Yes.
And so what do we do? What's the plan?
Usually when you've reached your breaking point, like usually you're not ready to give that 100% commitment until you've like reached the breaking point, and then you're like, you know what, I'm sick of this, I'm fed up. And when you're fed up with living the way you're living and feeling the way you're feeling, you're ready to commit it 100%, So it sounds like you're at that place right now where you're like, I'm sick of just doing the same things, getting no results.
I have been suicidal on and off for so long that I can't do it anymore. Like, if I'm to continue living, things have to be different. I'm serious.
Okay, so do you give me your 100% commitment that you'll do? Okay, we'll shake on it?
Yes.
And we'll hug afterwards too, because I'm more of a hugger than a shaker.
Okay, good. Of course you are. You're ENFP.
Yes.
ENFP.
ENFP, yes.
Yes, of course.
It's extroverted. I'm definitely extroverted.
Intuitive,
feeling,
perceiver.
Yes, there we go.
That's right.
Myers-Briggs.
Yes.
Okay, so if you're committed to 100%, and then that means on my part, sometimes I'm going to be a little bit tough love. I'm going to be a little bit of a hard ass sometimes and be like, girl, did you get in your homework? Did you do this? Or
it's accountability.
Yes, it's accountability, and that's really important. And I'm also going to do something that's things that are going to push you a little bit out of your comfort zone. So if you're like, I just feel like wallowing, and I feel like wallowing in my misery in my bed and stuff, I'm going to be like, no, don't do that. You're going to have to do this, because even if it feels a little uncomfortable, it's going to help you grow and stretch. And definitely there's a method to my madness. So if something feels like, okay, why is she making me do that? It's because it's going to be, you're going to thank me afterwards. Because it's going to make you, it's going to help you grow, and it's going to help you take risks. Because also part of the reason why you can be depressed is because you're not taking enough risks.
Absolutely.
You know, and when you're in your comfort zone and everything, of course you're not going to be very confident, because what have you really done lately? That's, you know, what have you achieved? And I'm talking about people in general. But when you haven't really done much, when you haven't really taken much risks or accomplished much, of course you're not going to feel like you're the shit, you know? You're going to be like, okay, what have I really done lately? But taking those risks, no matter how it turns out, taking the risks, you come out on the other side feeling like, damn, that was pretty cool. I mean, it didn't really get me where I wanted to get me, or maybe it did, but like the fact that I just did that is really cool. You know, so getting to develop yourself more in that way that's like, you know, makes you feel like more of a badass, more of a risk taker, more just awesome from the inside out is where I want to get you.